We're all peers, we're all individuals who are there on an equal basis and showing each other equal respect.
Trusting each other, the relationship building, understanding each other's values.
It's not about what you've been through, it's what you use what you've been through to support others.
Finding a common link somewhere. But the diversity within that, it's not just about one thing. Hope, that to me is probably the most crucial aspect of peer support.
Safety as well. Understanding, sharing, there's something really important about how the relationships within peer support should be mutually beneficial as well.
A lot of people don't want to talk about their problems. They simply want to be with others who they know there's a silent understanding that they don't have to explain themselves.
The important thing about the peer support was having a coherent group that had a degree of leadership. And that was leadership by consent. That was leadership from within the peer group. And what we found was that our best facilitators were people someone thought they could be like in 6 months' time. It's the first major concept that we have created, that we have developed, that we own, that is about explicitly moving away from this notion of broken individuals, gathering around diagnoses and conditions and what's wrong with us, and moving towards what we can do to support each other. If you have that kind of good peer support and you talk about people's goals, they become much more ambitious and they become much more achievable if you share them with people.
We got some funding from the Lankley Chase Foundation, so we are reigniting the space for Black and minority ethnic user survivor activism, networking. We have been recruiting members to the steering group from all regions in England.
Peer support saved my life originally. When I joined Capital, I was a little mouse that was sort of cowering in the corner, ready to scarper because it would all get too much. And it was because of what we would now call peer support, nobody had invented the term then, that I was able to find my voice and find the confidence to rebuild my life completely.
I found a little voice, but I couldn't travel around to use that voice. People helped me. They came along, they sat beside me, and they'd read a book or do their own thing while I stood up and said my piece, and they'd get me home safely. Peer support is the latest buzzword. Let's not shy away from that. The NHS has grabbed onto peer support and wants to make it theirs, and we have a fight on our hands to keep it as ours.
The principles of peer support really need promoting, they need protecting, particularly as peer support worker roles become more commonplace within services.
Somebody this morning mentioned about getting involved in control and restraint. You know, how are we as peer supporters involved in things that mental health services believe are necessary, but we as peer support, as people with lived experience, you know, is that really what peer support is about? I don't think so.
I just think it's really important that the future of peer support doesn't become just carrying all this extra weight that just because nobody else is there to do it. Like, sometimes I just think, how are we all still standing under the weight of all this stuff that we've had to believe for each other because nobody else has been doing it? And I'm angry about that.
What gives me hope? People finding their power gives me hope. People finding and making a future that isn't awful gives me hope. People not being dicks to each other gives me hope. And ultimately, you folks doing stuff gives me hope.
I'm so lucky that I've had people, if you like, come up through the ranks. They've joined, they've benefited from the group themselves, from having very low self-esteem and confidence, to being one of the main organisers, for example.
As you know,
now they're actually supporting the service with their skills and their talents because they've been empowered to do that.
Peer support makes people feel like they're part of something. Peer support is there to provide that holistic presence